This is Back to Back.
Yo, what's up, back-to-backers? This is Willie Joy. Welcome to the show. This is Back to Back. This is my podcast. How's everybody doing? How are you? How is your week? I hope everybody out there is doing well. It is raining in Los Angeles. People are acting like it is an apocalypse. I am having a day. I hope your day is a little more fun. This podcast, this episode, I think is definitely going to make it a little more fun. My guest on the show this week is Eliminate. One of my favorite up-and-coming producers right now, just making all of my favorite bangers. There's no one else who sounds quite like him. He's got a new record coming out on Disciple very soon. Keep your eyes peeled for that. Watch out for his tour dates. The link is going to be in the description of this episode where you can go get everything Eliminate. I'm running around today, so I'm going to do the business of the show real quick before we get into this conversation. Make sure you're subscribed if you haven't subscribed already. If you're listening for the first time, go ahead, scroll back in the feed, check out some of the old episodes. I have done a lot of them at this point with a lot of your favorite artists. Some amazing conversations that I just really want everybody to hear. One of the early ones that comes to mind is talking to Paul Devereaux, who's the creative director over at Mad Decent. I've known Paul for years. That episode was so fun, man. We sat in this tiny little cramped room in the back of the Mad Decent office. It was so hot that we took our shirts off at a certain point. Paul's brain works like nobody else's. Definitely go check out the Paul Devereaux episode once you're done here. This is a new thing I'm doing, recommending these older episodes. I think I'm going to keep doing it. You know, it even just reminds me some of the fun times I've had in the past. And I really think it is well worth your time to scroll back a little bit and just see who else is bouncing around in there. There's some good ones. Other than that, if you're on Spotify, I want to make sure that everyone is checking out the Back to Bangers Spotify playlist. That's a list I'm updating every single week as kind of a companion piece to this podcast with new music from the guests I talk to, music from myself, you know, stuff that we bring up in these conversations. Maybe you're not familiar with every single reference, and just other related music that I think, just fits the context, fits the vibe, something I think everyone out there would enjoy. It's what I do. I'm a DJ. I like to share this kind of stuff. People really seem to dig it. The link is in the description of the episode as well for where you can go check that out. And finally, as always, you can reach out to me any time of day or night. If I'm asleep, I will not wake up. I'll just answer you when I wake up. But the email is backtobackpod@gmail.com, or you can hit me up at Willie Joy or at backtobackpod on all social media. All right, so for this conversation with Eliminate, I've known him for a little bit now. We were friends online, then we finally met in person at a random festival out here in LA. And he's at the point, I've had a couple of these conversations. There's some of my favorite where the hype is building. Everybody, especially, other DJs and producers, is talking about him, but it hasn't blown up yet. And to me, that's the most exciting time to catch somebody and to talk to them when there's all this potential, but you don't know exactly where it's going to go yet. All the music he's making is so fresh right now. I think he's just raising the bar for everybody around him. He's signed to Disciple Records right now. They're building out a really strong stable, a really strong roster of artists. He's got a good team, a good family around him. He's starting to hit the road pretty heavy. I foresee a lot of touring for him this year. He played me some of his new music. I can't share it with you just yet, but it's going to be out soon on Disciple. Keep your eyes peeled for it. The new music is crazy, man. Right now, I'm seeing if they'll let me premiere one of the new tunes on my SiriusXM show that airs every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Pacific on Channel 52 on SiriusXM. And he's a hilarious guy. If you follow him already, then you already know. I mean, I love his presence on social media, his whole tone, his whole vibe. I'm just down with it, man. He's great, talented guy, funny dude, really pushing things forward. And it was just great to catch up with him, to see where he's at. And we just had a good back and forth, man. It was a good energy, a lot of laughs. I found myself just kind of wanting to give him some shit now and then. It was super fun. Shout out to Eliminate. Make sure to check out everything he's doing. And let's get into it right now. This is me and Eliminate, back to back. Let's go. This is cool, man. Out here in Hollywood. You've been out here 3 years, you said now?
Yeah, like late January, it'll be 3 years.
That's wild.
I know, I can't believe it's already been that long.
When did I meet you? It was like, 2 years ago, right? Something like that?
Let's see, I think I remember talking to you on Twitter, and then I think I actually met you at...
I think it was hard because we were with Brills.
Yeah, Brills was playing.
When he was Brills.
Yeah, that was like right before I had my first Twonk release.
Right.
And I think that was like that was also right before the Twonk tour. So that was hard 2017, so last year.
Does it feel like you've just been in LA forever now?
It's gone by so fast. It doesn't at all. But I have like completely adapted. So whenever I go, back home or anywhere that's not sunshine and rainbows all year long, I'm like ready to come back here.
Dude, it's funny how that works. Like I was born and raised in Minnesota, which is like, the coldest fucking place of all time. And I go back there and, my parents are still there, whatever. I'm going back there in a few weeks. And it's just, I don't know, like for 18 years, I was totally fine there. And now I go back and like one day I'm like, holy shit, I'm going to die.
Yeah. I was just there 2 weekends ago, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was just freezing.
Were you doing Skyway?
Yeah. I did a show at the Loft. So yeah, no. And then I was just in Spokane last weekend and it was like 20 degrees out. And I'm outside of Seattle. Up there, that's like where I was born and raised. It gets like pretty cold in the winter, not like Minnesota cold, but It's still really cold. And it never like bothered me when I was there. I actually kind of liked it.
Yeah.
And now I hate it. God,
dude, I swear to God, Southern California ruins people. Like
I don't
it's going to be so hard to live anywhere else.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been touring around a lot. You've been going to a bunch of different places lately, right?
Yeah, it's been pretty steady since like August.
That's dope, man.
Yeah, pretty decent amount. I'm doing like finishing up the year this weekend and next.
Is this kind of like the first time period where you've been like super busy like this?
Yeah, for sure. I like last year I did, I think maybe like 20 shows around there.
Yeah.
And like 7 of those were the Twonk tour in the winter.
Right.
And then this year, I think I've done like a little over 50. And a bunch of them have been just since like August.
Right.
Because I had like a decent schedule to start the year off. And then I had pretty much nothing in the summer. I had like 1 show in July, I think.
Yeah, it's weird. It was actually really similar for me. And, it's weird when you're not playing every single festival, then all of a sudden the summer doesn't look so fun anymore. Yeah. The thing is, man, it's a cool time. Like I was thinking about it on the drive over because I feel like you're in that time where maybe you're not playing every single festival in existence yet, but you are like, you're building the foundation for what that's going to be,
Yeah.
And like, I think back about like when I was doing in that same period in my own career, like I have all these awesome memories of just like kind of the weird little towns you'd go to and like the people you'd meet there. And, it's like those memories are the ones that I still think about,
Yeah, I've had a lot of those, like just little like smaller towns, smaller shows, which I mean, I don't play that many like, huge crowds.
Right.
But I really enjoy playing the smaller, more like just...
People appreciate it, man. When you come to their town and like put in the effort and show up and put on a good show, like people remember that.
Yeah, and it's cool to go to like, I don't know, just a town where I wouldn't expect anyone to even know who I was. Like I played in I did the Australia New Zealand tour in September, and
Oh yeah, how was that?
oh, it was amazing. It was like, yeah.
I love Australia so much.
I know everyone says the same thing, but it was like one of the best experiences.
Yeah, 100%, man.
And I did 9 shows, which is like, I didn't expect to do that many. I was there like almost a month.
Damn.
And one of the places, it's called Cairns, but it's spelled Cairns.
Oh, right, yeah.
I'd never heard of it, and it turns out it's just like a kind of like a small fishing town on the coast.
All right.
Like up north, northern Australia.
Okay, yeah, I've definitely never been there.
And I'm like, there's no way that anyone here is going to know who the hell I am. And sure enough, there was like, I mean, the crowd was like decent, but I think a lot of them were just kind of, locals. But there was like 5 or 6 people that were like diehard fans. And I was like,
so sick.
Yeah. Even if it's, a tiny amount of people, it's still like crazy.
Well, and that's how it starts, man. Like you go there, you put on a great show that those 5 or 6 people are going to talk about.
Yeah.
Everybody else there is like, oh, who is that?
Yeah.
And then the next time you go back, it builds. Like, I don't know. To me, that's like a really exciting time.
Yeah.
Like, sure, being super famous and playing every festival, like that's great too.
Yeah.
But to me, it's more romantic when you're like in the middle of it,
Uh-huh.
I'm sure you're ready to play every festival, but
Dude, it's a never-ending uphill climb. I don't know.
but it literally, dude, that never ends. That's
Yeah.
the craziest part. Like for all of us on any level, like we know big DJs, we know small DJs. Everybody is on that uphill climb. It's a bizarre thing because at least for me, when I started, I was like, well, as long as I get to like X, then I'll be happy. Then I've made it. And that's never the case, right?
Yeah. It's not, because as soon as you get that, then you realize, there's like, you're not content just staying there. You want to do so much more. So
yeah.
Like for me, I guess my entire time I've been doing music, like the ultimate goal was to be able to like have it as a career and like survive off of just music.
Right.
And
which, by the way, for everybody listening, that's the real goal. Like that's the actual success.
Yeah. And even like, just so I, didn't have to work a day job and then work on music on hours outside of that. And, I like was able to, I had a day job before I moved here, and then I quit to move here, and I was like applying for waiter positions and stuff, and like.
Is that what you were doing before?
No, I was doing the job I had back home was weird.
You can't just say that.
No, it was a straight like okay. I graduated college in December 2014, so like 4 years ago, and moved back home, and didn't really want to do what I just graduated with. I don't know, I just kind of lost interest, but I still wanted to finish. So,
what were you going to school for?
Like broadcast production and my major was in communication.
Okay.
So I was doing a lot of like camera stuff and,
like
I
TV
wanted to be like a cameraman, like
Sure.
slash editor when I was in high school and going through college. But then I started doing music on the side. So, but I moved back home and I, spent like 2 months just jobless, not doing anything, but I was like looking for jobs. I was looking for jobs at like pizza places and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is not good.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to be staring down that barrel.
But I needed something. And I ended up, it's so random. The tiny town that I like was born and raised in, there was just this building that I would always drive past, and my brother's wife ended up randomly, because she knew I was looking for a job, she's like, oh, you should go in there and apply for a job, because she knew people that worked there in this unmarked building.
Yeah.
And it was just a desk job, but the pay was pretty good. So I didn't even really know what it was.
Right.
And
like you got hired without knowing what the job was.
Well, no, like I when I walked in there to hand in my resume and fill out an application, I had no idea what the job really even was.
Right.
And I just drove up and parked and walked up and like knocked on the door, and this lady answers the door in a headset, and she's looking at me like, what the hell are you doing here? And I'm like, I'm here to apply for a job? And she's like, how do you even know what we're doing here?
It sounds so shady. That's
yeah, no, it was so awkward. And then I was just like, oh, I just heard about you guys, so here's my resume. And she's like, okay. And then took it and went back inside, and I left, and I was like, okay, that's hopeless.
Yeah.
And then that same day, somebody quit.
Oh, wow.
So she calls me the next day, and she's like, you want to come in for an interview? And the job it's just this small little office with like 6 or 7 people working in it. And my job was to just it's so hard to even explain.
I mean, all I'm thinking about is either something like top secret or something illegal.
No, it was legal. It was okay. So it was for people that wanted workers that worked inside nuclear power plants, and they needed security clearance to get into the nuclear power plants, which just sounds like super badass. Yeah. But it was pretty boring. I would go through like the files of people that were trying to get their clearance, and I would just call their references and
just doing background check kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's the word I was trying to think. Wow, I can't believe I couldn't think of that. I did it for almost a
year.
That
you maintain the mystery, though.
Well, I was trying to that's the key word, is I was doing background checks. That's it. Okay. Right. I don't know why I couldn't think of that.
But even that, I don't know, I kind of like hearing about jobs like that, because I always would wonder, well, whose job is that? Where does that take place?
Yeah.
Because we all know what a background check is, but you don't think about the fact that somebody works from 9 to 5, just
It was funny because we would do power plants all over the country, and we're just a tiny little office in Belfair, Washington, which is where I'm from, really small town. So yes, it was. It was just really strange how I ended up there, but it was it was decent.
Yeah, sounds better than pizza.
Yeah, no, I wasn't delivering pizzas.
Yeah. I mean, shout out to anyone out there who's delivering pizza, because that's a job that I had for 2 years, so I'm definitely not shitting on you.
I kind of wanted one, because I was like, oh yeah, cool, I just get to drive around and get tips, but even though I'm sure it's not that at all.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, when I did it, it was kind of that. There's a certain amount of autonomy you have, because it's just you in the car a lot of the time, but it's just not really, the economics of it don't work, because it's bad on the car. Then you have to, repair the car. The tips are, whatever. It's not that much more money than you would get at just a normal job.
Yeah, I think the idea of not having a supervisor in the car with me.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what I loved about it. Absolutely.
Because before that, I worked at a grocery store. And
oh, really?
Just always under the watch of somebody, and if you're not working hard enough, or if you get caught doing something that you're not supposed to, it's just
yeah. Well, and the people who end up in those God, I'm just shitting on everybody's jobs today.
This is the welcome to
the privilege hour.
The job shitting podcast.
Yeah. But no, I worked at an Obonpan, AU. It's the cafe.
Oh, okay.
AUBON. PAIN. You see them everywhere, airports, blah, blah, blah. It's like a Panera kind of.
Okay.
And I worked there, and my manager there was just this middle-aged, unhappy woman who still to this day don't know anything about her life, but I know something was wrong with it, because she was just taking it out on everybody else. You know? It's when you get stuck in those jobs, I do not. You just don't want to be around that energy.
No, it sucked. I would walk into work just so unhappy.
Yeah. Right. Even before you get there.
Yeah,
right?
driving there just
So you grew up, what's the name of the town?
Belfair.
Belfair. And how small is that? How small is small?
Really small. I don't know the actual population.
Yeah.
We have one road that goes through it. So
you got
tell you something.
Main Street or something?
No, it's just called Highway 3.
Oh, it's just off the highway?
Yeah,
or a highway?
Yeah, it just goes through the town.
Right.
There's a bigger town on each side of it, and so you just kind of drive through it.
So what's growing up in a place like that like? Man?
It was. I liked it.
Was it, because I sort of figured, this is my theory about small towns, is like either you end up sort of having to make your own fun and like doing a lot of interesting creative shit you might not do in a bigger city,
Yeah.
or you just get into a lot of trouble.
Well, I think that goes for both.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of people I went to high school with. I remember, I don't know what anyone's doing nowadays. I haven't really kept in touch with anyone, but I remember a lot of kids getting into trouble, like doing bad stuff.
Yeah.
And it's
But not
like,
you.
No, I was a good boy.
Like, what were you doing for fun as a kid? Like, did you have interests or hobbies or anything like that?
When I was, let's see, I'm trying to think of what age kid would be like.
Yeah, you can define it
I just
as you want.
I just Googled the population, and it says here in 2010, so 8 years ago. It's probably much more than this now, but the population was 3,931.
Okay, yeah, that's real small.
Yeah. I imagine it's a lot more now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've always been into like video games and computers and stuff.
Yeah.
Which wasn't a huge I don't know, interest point for a lot of people.
Yeah, so you were kind of a little bit of an outsider with that.
I don't know.
I mean,
maybe.
obviously, kids like video games.
Yeah,
but
like the majority of people. Well, you do a lot of stuff outdoors, which I like doing that too. But like, I didn't like. I'm trying to, how do I explain this? I guess I don't know. Like I would have probably more fun like going over to a friend's house and like having like a LAN party or something.
Yeah, for sure. Same here.
Yeah. But there's tons of stuff to do like outdoors. So like a lot of people would, spend their time outside. And then also, I didn't really play any sports in high school. I played tennis.
I played tennis for a year.
Funny because I was like not the tennis. I was like really fat.
Okay.
In high school.
Not the quintessential tennis pro.
No, I was I was like, I swear to God, like right after I graduated, I just dropped a ton of like baby fat. I don't know what happened.
Really? Like you didn't change anything up? It just kind of happened?
No. And like,
That's interesting.
Yeah. And then I gained a bunch back in college. And then now I'm just in limbo where I'm like an adult.
Yeah. I was sort of, I went through those phases. I mean, I was kind of just like normal. I had like a normal body when I was in high school. Like I wasn't skinny. I wasn't fat. I wasn't that athletic. And then I went to college and I gained a shitload of weight and got a little chubby.
Yeah.
And then right towards the end of college, after a long series of events, kind of just became a gym rat and like lost all the weight. And that's just kind of continued. I'm lucky, I think, because it continues to this day, but not really because of the physical effects. It's just because like I kind of need it to stay sane now. It's something about just the ritual of it.
Yeah, no, it's good. I just started doing the gym like a few months ago. And now it's like I look forward to it. I used to have to drag myself there.
Yeah, it's fun to get over that hump.
Yeah, no, and now I look forward to going. It's like one of the it's so corny, but it's like one of the best parts of my day now.
Yeah,
like
totally.
Yeah.
Well, especially, I mean, with the lifestyle we lead, it's, you're working out of your house and we're in this sort of like super deep in this small niche world, right? And I think, at least for me, like breaking out of that and doing something physical that has nothing to do with like the stresses or whatever I'm supposed to be working on.
Yeah.
I don't know. For my mental state. Is that what it is for you?
Yeah, it's like I can easily just get trapped in my room and I realize now how important it is just to like step outside. Because I used to, I pretty much, I sit in a chair for a living. So like,
yeah,
I got to just not isolate myself because it's super unhealthy to do that.
Yeah, socially, physically, like all of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I really like it now. I used to hate it, but
yeah, and it can be a social thing too. I don't know. It's it brings a lot of good, positive things into my life for sure. Okay, so you're in the
I feel
town.
like I got sidetracked on it.
Yeah, no, but that's.
I
mean, as a podcast, whatever. We were talking about what you did as a kid.
Oh, okay.
What about musical inclinations as a kid? Were you playing any instruments, or even like what kind of music was in the house? What were you exposed to?
The first first instrument I played was piano, and my parents had me do like piano lessons. Like someone would like come to my house come to our house, and I would do lessons. And then I remember even doing like some recitals and stuff. And sixth grade I played the trumpet.
Oh, nice. I also played the trumpet for a large part of my childhood.
I'm trying to remember how long I played it. I know for sure sixth grade. I'm trying to remember if I did it in seventh grade too.
So you were running around with a bunch of different instruments.
Yeah, those are kind of the
piano, trumpet.
The trumpet, and then I stopped playing the trumpet. And it's funny because when I was doing the piano and the trumpet, I like knew how to read sheet music.
Yeah.
And understood basic musical theory. And now if you put sheet music in front of me, I don't know what I'm looking at.
You lost it.
But like I still can write music because just from my ears, I know what sounds good and what doesn't sound good.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting because your tunes, like, I think you're sort of known for these like really crazy sounds and sound design, but actually, like, I was listening to a bunch of your stuff on the way over, like reminding myself, and there's so much melody and like composition in there.
That's that's my favorite part actually of like writing.
Really?
I like doing just, I don't know, kind of trying to get like a core theme for a melody and then just working on those bits like in the intro and the like the midsection and the outro. I don't know. I enjoy that way more than actually writing like a drop. But
do you think you'd ever actually go further down that route and like make some like super different kind of stuff?
I like always try and incorporate some type of melody into it right now.
Yeah, I mean, not that you're not doing it now, but I guess just like if you extend out further, like take the idea further, like is that something you've thought about, like maybe not even having a drop, that kind of thing?
Yeah, no, definitely. I do that occasionally. I don't ever like release the stuff, but I
you should, man. I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, I've got like, I don't know, just kind of some weird, I don't know, maybe one day I'll do like a I think a lot of producers have done this, just like I don't know, old projects, free download or something.
Yeah, for sure. Or do a side project or an alter ego or something.
Yeah, that's another idea. I don't know. I did oh my god, in 2015 I started a feature-based side project. Yeah. It's the most 2015 thing ever. And I put one song out and then I just stopped.
Right. Well, that's probably the right move, even though I'm sure it was a good song.
It was, I mean, I had fun writing it, but then I was like, why did I start a whole new project?
Well, right. That's the other part of it, is you're still like in the thick of the project you're doing now.
Yeah. And I don't know. Well, that's the thing, is this is 2015 when I was done with college and I was working that job. And I had really just nothing happening.
Yeah.
And it was super discouraging. And I had I think I maybe had 2 shows that whole year.
And were you in LA by that point?
No, I was still back. This is when I was back home. And I was like, I don't know. I just remember feeling, I didn't put any music out. I think I had a remix. Maybe I did an original. I didn't do I don't know. It was such a slow year. And I remember feeling so confident in 2014. And then 2015 came around and I just I don't know.
Yeah. And the music business humbles you like that, man.
I wasn't even really in the business. I was still.
Well, sure.
I was just
so I'm just saying the game.
Yeah. I was still just making music in my bedroom, which I still do now. But I wasn't I don't know.
I think that's an interesting question. It's a question I get asked all the time, is sort of, we all get our start somewhere, right? And it's those moments of well, how do you break out of just kind of, nobody knowing what you're doing?
Yep.
You feel like you're doing good work, but nobody's paying attention. How did it work for you? How did you break out of that funk?
I almost quit, honestly.
Yeah.
I was because I was at this job and I had gotten promoted, I think 2 or 3 times in the short amount of time I was there. And
You were like the lead background checker.
no, definitely not. But I was getting pay raises and stuff, and I got a company gas card, so I was
shit.
I was feeling, like this is okay. This
Feeling
is
fancy.
actually moving forward.
Yeah.
Where music is just hanging out right now. I have like a decent, I don't know.
Yeah, security.
Yeah,
probably
no.
benefits, right?
That was the next thing, was they were going to offer me like health insurance, or benefits or whatever, and I just kind of, I don't know. I was scared I was going to get sucked in and stay there.
Yeah.
So I just started saving money and decided I really wanted to come down here. I had been to LA once or twice, I think, before.
Yeah.
So it's not that I even knew anything. I wasn't familiar with the city at all, but I just knew that like I really wanted to just be down here. And it's pretty cliche, but once I got down here, like I saved up the money and then just quit my job. Once I moved down here, it was super motivating because number one, I moved down and I didn't have a job. So I wanted to avoid having to get another job, even though I was still like looking, but it also brought out this super just creative side of me that was like looking for any way to make money.
Yeah. Put the fire under your ass a little bit.
And then,
how did that manifest itself? Like,
it
just
worked.
out hustling?
I had the first 2 or 3 months were, I was doing like, I was doing like some mastering work, which doesn't pay well at all.
Right.
And I'm really probably not the person to hire for that. I master my own stuff, but I do it like just inside the project file. So I don't do like pre-masters, but
I know other people like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was doing just kind of freelance jobs. I did a couple like PA jobs, which is like a production assistant on some sets for like filming.
Put that communications degree to work.
Yeah, it's funny because like you'd think you would need that, but no.
Yeah, no, you just you don't need anything.
I got a reference of a job from like just some people that I knew, and then would go do it. So I did a few of those, and then eventually I got some work doing like project files conversions, where I like convert an Ableton project into FL Studio.
Oh, interesting.
I was doing that for Cymatics, and they kind of like helped me pay my rent for a while there.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know you used to work with them.
Yeah, no, I didn't really broadcast it.
Well, yeah, nor should you.
It's just kind of like it was just what I was doing to get by.
Yeah. That's cool, man.
Yeah, like it was an interesting job because I wasn't writing any of the music. They would just give me a project that was already fully written, and I would have to redo everything in FL Studio, which is what I use. And like at first it was, now looking back at it now, it's a bit of a.
I was gonna say, yeah. Especially if it's like.
But I ended up doing so many of them that I got into like a groove where
right.
I knew exactly. I would do like a bunch of pre-prep and then just kind of blaze through it. And the funny thing is, doing that, I upped my production skills a lot too.
Yeah, what did it teach you? I was just about to ask.
Well, I got to look at a bunch of different like techniques that the people that were writing the tunes were doing.
Right.
And they usually sounded, pretty good. So I would just kind of take some stuff from that, and then just, there's a lot, it was like.
Yeah. People have various opinions about Cymatics, but I will say, like, all of the project files that they put out, like, anytime I popped one of those open and looked around, like, there's usually some cool stuff going on.
Yeah. I had consistent work with them for a while, and then it was all freelance, but then I kind of just moved on. And I didn't start, this is the first year that I've been able to like fully support myself just from like my own music career.
Oh, that's so cool, man.
Which is like,
it's got to be a great feeling.
Yeah, it is. It was basically something I've been working toward for this whole time.
Yeah. So let's talk about that for a minute. Like coming Well, first of all, how did you even get into production in the first place? Like, what was your first exposure to electronic music?
First time I heard it was 2010, like dubstep.
Yeah.
And I think it was either like...
Was dubstep like the first electronic music you heard?
I'd heard like house music and stuff before, but I never really listened to it.
Yeah.
And then I heard dubstep and it was like, just, I don't know, it was so cool.
Just clicked for you?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember like the first artist, Skrillex obviously, but I think there was some before that. I think I was listening, like my friends showed me, I remember listening to, do you remember Crispy?
Yeah, I do actually.
Yeah, he had like these remixes on YouTube, and then let's see, Cookie Monster, Dr. P, Flux Pavilion, all those guys.
Right. Just the dudes smashing it at the time.
Yeah, I remember just putting the UKF channel on and just letting it play.
Well, and that's an interesting thing too, because obviously you have these dubstep influences. I think when you go and play shows or just like kind of in the public eye, you're lumped in with like dubstep, right? As just like a term. But then your music to me is like, I don't know how I would define it. Like, do you think of yourself as a dubstep artist?
I was for like a long time.
Yeah.
A lot, because that was what I was putting up. But by the way, all the music that I put out, in my opinion, from like 2010 to 2016. It's just dog shit. So bad.
Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, dude, there's a lot of my old shit on the internet that I wish wasn't there.
It's so bad, but and I've completely changed basically everything since then. Like, there's some stuff that I haven't changed, like some melodic elements, or just I always try and like use piano and songs and stuff, which is what I've done forever.
Right. But no, I feel like you've managed to zero in on like a damn near close to what I would call a signature sound, It's like nobody else sounds like you and what you're doing, at least in my opinion.
It's like I've been trying to do that. It's hard. It's, at least for me, what I've noticed is it's really hard to do that and not feel trapped.
Like you're kind of just repeating the same things.
Like I just opened up my presets folder and grabbed the Snakebite synth for fucking every song. Like,
right.
It's like I can't do that. But
I don't know, man. And then, at least from my limited experience, every time you step out from those, like, your like Toolbelt, it seems like you come up with really cool shit. Like the first one, I can't remember the first song of yours I heard. I mean, I think Snakebite was one that everybody was playing.
I feel like that's the first song that a lot of people heard by me.
Yeah, but the one that stuck out for me that really, like, I remembered it and kept coming back to it was the remix you did for Excision.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And that one, like, I'd never heard sounds like that, and kind of the way it was arranged and layered, like, it just blew my mind. I don't know, man. I feel like...
Yeah, well, I guess going back to the genre thing, I don't consider myself a dubstep producer, but I also hate just calling myself a trap producer, but that's kind of what I feel like the general... I
just say bass music.
That's what I was going to say, yeah. I just say bass music, because I haven't done much dubstep in the past couple of years, but I have done a couple, and then some of the songs that I'm using, like 808s and trap percussion and stuff, still have... some like heavy bass dubsteppy sounds.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I hate calling it is hybrid trap. That's
don't,
dude.
Nobody should you ever use
well,
that.
A ton of people do.
I know they do, but
they're
shouldn't.
They're like, and it sucks because they'll be complimenting me, and I can't just be like, dude, fuck you. But like, they'll be like, dude, you're like a sick hybrid trap artist. And I just cringe.
Oh, it's so cringy. It's so cringy. Anybody who's saying that, and if I'm speaking to you, I apologize, but like anybody who's saying that just doesn't get it. Like,
I don't know, man. It's such
because the people who want to like get so nitty gritty about genre, like sub genres and all that, like they're missing the point, because that's not what any of the artists are thinking about.
No, I'm not thinking about the genre at all. No. I just want it to sound good.
Yeah, man. I that shit bugs me too. And so I feel like another part of your sound and maybe how you've been able to differentiate it is that you're using FL Studio, right? And that is not quite as common in electronic music and dance music as, say, Ableton or something like that.
Yeah, but Ableton's seems to be the popular choice.
It is. I mean, I use Ableton. I like Ableton, but it's interesting when you find people like you using FL Studio, or like there's a bunch of people who use Reason, and they're all some of the people making the most interesting shit. Like, I feel like using the less common tools can kind of unlock some abilities for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know, because I don't have any experience in using anything else.
I mean, are you like the noises you're doing? I know you do a bunch of like just audio chopping and sampling and that, but are you using a lot of the FL Studio like built-in tools as well?
The one pretty much. Oh yeah, there's 2 plugins that I use that aren't available anywhere else, as far as I know. Harmor is one, which I've just this year actually kind of gotten on board with. Yeah. And it's really cool. And I know
a couple people who swear by Harmor.
Yeah, it's really, I don't know, I slept on it forever because it's really intimidating when you look at it.
Yeah, it's a beast.
It's just a big, like, bunch of knobs. and it's just like, whoa.
No, yeah. It's not user-friendly.
Yeah. And then another one is just like, it's not a synthesizer or anything. It's just for effects, but it's called Effector. Mm-hmm. And I pretty much just throw that on everything, and you can just manipulate with it really well. For the most part, I just would work in MIDI, and then that's another thing I've started doing is rendering to audio, and then just
that's my favorite.
Yeah, I never really liked to do it, but I've started now, and well, I guess I've been doing it for a while now.
Yeah.
Like I did that in the Excision remix, I think.
Okay.
For those like rising synths.
Right. Was it always FL Studio? Is that like what you started on when you were learning how to produce?
Yeah. I had it before I even heard electronic music. I think I first got it in 2009.
Okay.
And I was just making basic beats.
Just for fun?
Yeah. Like using like the stock sounds in FL and just... using like the stock piano noises in the FL Studio and their kick drums and their snares, and then I found out that you could like import samples. But
a mind-blowing moment.
Yeah, but no, it was all just really basic little like hip hop beats that were terrible.
Yeah.
And then I didn't like when I heard dubstep, I just thought like this. I don't know how you would possibly make any of these sounds.
How did you learn?
YouTube. I remember, this is so funny. I remember the first time I was staying over at my friend's house. I think this is after I graduated high school. So yeah, I think a little bit after I graduated high school. And I was just staying over at my friend's house, and we were just like hanging out playing League of Legends, which is like what I did, because I don't know, that was fun.
Oh, 100%.
And he crashed, and I stayed up, and I just remember I was sitting there with my laptop, and I was like, you know what, I'm not going to bed yet. I YouTube how to make dubstep on FL Studio, and I stayed up the whole night. I did not go to sleep, and I had to work the next day at my grocery store job, and I remember sitting there. And I had watched a YouTube video, and it was like how to make a basic bass wobble using Citrus, which is a stock FL plugin, and made the most just horrifying song you'd ever hear in your life. But I was so proud of it.
Right.
And
I mean, those are exciting times.
No,
man.
yeah, I won't ever forget that, just because I remember, I was like just gonna check it out, and then I literally stayed up till I had to go to work.
Right. And I mean, what a great feeling when you've wondered for a long time, like, how is this even possible? Yeah. And then you realize, oh, maybe I can actually do it myself.
That's the thing, is I also didn't even, I couldn't even understand or grasp the concept of what a mixdown was. So I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't messing with like any of not even something as simple as like the volume of a track. And then I made, like just a really super resonancy bass wobble in Citrus that just sounded like a wet dish rag,
flapping in the wind,
and added some drums at 140 BPM. And then just structured a song around that. And I remember being so excited to show my friend the next day, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that's all right." He's like, I was so stoked. I was like, I can't believe I made this. And then showed my friend, and he's just like, "Yeah, that's all right." And then I was like, okay, I should probably learn some more.
Yeah. I mean, even to this day, though, isn't that still the worst? You make something you're super stoked on, and then you play it for somebody else. You're like, oh, it's pretty good.
Yeah. And the worst thing I think about is I feel like I'm probably guilty of doing that sometimes too, and I don't mean to.
Right.
Like I think it's because it's not that the song is bad. It's just so hard for me to get really excited about an EDM song nowadays.
Yeah. Oh, I feel the same way, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a whole nother issue.
Yeah.
Well, maybe this is a question I did want to ask you, because I'm not in the dubstep scene. Like, I like dubstep and I play it in my sets, but I'm not a dubstep DJ. And as somebody who's in the scene now, like, obviously dubstep is popping right now. Like, dubstep artists are doing really well. Tours are making lots of money. They're fans for the sound.
Yeah, there's a lot.
But the sound itself, right? Like, to me, I've been waiting for a while to hear somebody like flip it again. Like, I'm somewhat over where the sound is right now.
Yeah.
And like, do you feel that? And do you feel that in the dubstep community? Or is it kind of just like a boom time, like everybody's just having a great time because it is doing really well right now?
I mean, everyone's having a great time, which is good. And I have a lot of friends that are becoming like super successful, and
which is amazing.
Awesome to see. It's kind of I have a weird standpoint on it because I'm not making like the dubstep.
Right.
And so the people,
dubstep. I don't make the dubstep.
I didn't even realize I just said that. Yeah.
Dad status.
I'm like, the music I'm making, I mean, I am working on some dubstep right now, but that's a whole nother conversation. But it's definitely what's like selling tickets and stuff. So for me, I'm still kind of in that, my market is a bit more, I don't know how to even describe it.
Well, I mean, for you, maybe it's actually kind of a bonus in a way, because you get packaged on these dubstep tours often, or you'll play with kind of these big name dubstep guys, but you can show up and kind of be the different guy on the lineup, right?
Yeah, that's really cool. I think the coolest experience I've ever had with that was we just did the Disciple show at the Palladium.
Right.
And it was insane. Like, it sold out, which...
That's huge.
I don't want to take all the credit, but it was definitely me.
Yeah, you're welcome to say that.
No, I'm just kidding. It was like they had 12 Planet, Mode Step, Versal Riot, Barely Live, and like Phase 1. And pretty much everybody. And like, it was so cool to be a part of that, just because I wouldn't have ever dreamed of like being on a show like that at a venue like that. And I got to watch everyone play. Since there were so many of us, we all had, well, except for like the headlining guys,
right.
But the rest of us had shorter sets. So I had, just a really quick set, and it was pretty much at the end of the night. I played at like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And I was being realistic, and I was like, okay, it started at 7 p.m.
Yeah, that's a lot of dubstep.
A lot of people are going to be gone, and people aren't going to be as energetic. But like, I went up there, and it was just like a sea of people, and it had been dubstep the whole night. Just the whole night was dubstep. And I remember this is like one of the only times I literally planned an entire set start to finish. And I played, I think there was 2 tracks that weren't mine, aside from like, I think I had like a Travis Scott edit I played.
Yeah.
And then 2 other songs. And the rest of them was just like my own music. And it was so cool to like see the reaction, because people had been hearing dubstep all night. And then I went up there and played my weird squealy whale noises. And it was like, it was a really cool to see. It was really cool to see the response.
I'm sure they went off too. Is that something you're doing more of, is like making your sets more about you and just...
I'm trying.
Yeah.
I would love to play all original set, but I don't have enough music that I feel comfortable playing.
Right.
If I use music that I'd made my entire time, I could easily do it, but I'm not going to be playing stuff I made in 2012 and 13.
Oh yeah, there's no reason to force it.
No, so yeah, I really would like to. I just need to get more music that I'm confident and willing to play.
Are you pretty critical of your own stuff? Like as you're making it?
Yeah, definitely. But I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but...
It can be both, depending.
Yeah, because I have tracks I've never released, and I'm sure they would have done perfectly well. I have I've got song. I listen back to them now and I'm like, this isn't terrible.
Yeah. What was I thinking?
But I don't want to release it now because it's been like 2 years.
Right now, it's too long. Do you work fast? Are you like pretty productive? Can you make a song in a day or a few days?
It's completely sporadic. If I am in the zone and it's flowing, I can knock a song out in one day. And then other times I will spend, oh my God, I had this one song I started in June. And it's getting like played out by Bass Nectar right now and stuff.
Okay.
But so like I'm not going to not release it.
Right.
And it's got a lot of hype from people on like Twitter. Like people know the song, which is cool because I've never had an unreleased song do that.
That's dope.
But all that's done really, well, it's a good thing. I'm not complaining here, but for me, it's just put so much pressure on me because I want to make it really good. And I'm just nitpicking at every little possible thing.
Right.
If I just would have kept working on it back in June and finished it,
you could have knocked it out.
I'd be done. But since now, every time I open the project file, I hear something I don't like, or I want to change something. I'm literally like about to rewrite the whole intro now, and I don't need to, but I want to because I want to like change the theme of the track, and I want to.
When you have to make it, you have to get yourself excited again, right?
Yeah.
Because you've been listening to it for so long.
Yeah, that's
now.
the other thing. Yeah. I'm not gonna the main drop part that everyone hears live and knows. I'm not gonna change that, but the intro and the build up and stuff. I want to do something different, and it's crazy because it's like I'm gonna put it on my EP, and I need to finish that like now.
Right. Yeah, like I'm interrupting the time you should be worried.
No, dude, no. I was
kidding.
I was working just the other day. And I just sat there and had a very unproductive day. Not for lack of trying, but that's just happens. I have no control over it. It sucks.
Yeah, man. I go through slumps for sure. Those unproductive days. I don't think anything feels worse than those days.
No, because you're trying, but nothing is working, and it's just frustrating.
And it's
discouraging.
Yeah, and at least for me, I'll compare myself to other people because I'm sure you know too, like these artists where it's just
just pump the songs.
Well, yeah, and they can just sit down and create something and it just flows out of them, you know?
Yeah.
And for me, even on my best days when I'm really in the zone, it still feels like I'm working to like put it together, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and the thing about, I know some people like that too, and they can just... They're just pumping these tracks out, and they're not bad is the thing. They're all like really good. And it's just, I don't know how to, it takes me so long now to write like a song that I'm really like happy with.
Yeah. Do you think you're too critical of it? Or do you
maybe.
think, like, obviously we all have to be critical to a certain extent to make ourselves better. But there's always that fine line of like, when do you go over the cliff and like just prevent yourself from, you know.
I think I am pretty critical, but like I think it's kind of necessary because I hate nothing more than releasing a song that I don't 100% like back.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I mean, I think in a perfect world, you should never do that.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, I've obviously had to before.
Oh, we all have.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But this EP that I'm working on, I'm like trying to be 100% just stoked and confident that every song is gonna like be I don't know, just a banger.
You know, I had Sammy Brills, now LS Dream, on this show, and talking to him, he said something which I think I've actually mentioned on the show before, but it's something that stuck with me. He was like, he used to be really worried about perfection and like everything had to be perfect, and the way he kind of like got over that, exactly what we're talking about, is now he, instead of perfect, he just says proud. It's like, if I'm proud of it, then I put it out.
Yeah.
And that's it. I don't worry if it's perfect anymore.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Yeah. I think I agree with that too. Like that's a good way to go about it. I think it's hard. It's
very easy to say.
Well, no, like here's the issue that I have is that it's hard for me to be proud of it if it's not perfect. But then again, you know, who am I to say what I'm putting out is perfect, because it's definitely not. But like when I think of perfect, I think I can listen to it and not notice anything that I don't like.
Right.
Someone else might listen to it and be like, "Oh, that sucks," or "What's this doing here?" But like I don't really give a shit about that. Like I just want me to be okay with it.
Well, yeah, that's the most important thing.
But like there's, I'll listen through, and then if I hear like a little crackle noise or something, or just some tiny little minor thing that I know no one else is going to hear,
right?
I just can't let it go. I have to diagnose the.
Do you think like, you were saying like Bass Nectar is playing one of your songs. Obviously, you've now worked with a bunch of big name DJs that I think probably a few years ago you were just kind of like listening to as a fan.
Yeah, for sure.
Does that put more pressure on you, or did that change the way you worked or thought about music when now you're suddenly like you can send a song to this guy and he'll listen to it, and does that change anything about what you do?
It gave me a lot more confidence.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard to be confident when you're releasing, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't be confident. At least just for me, it was really hard to be confident in what I was putting out when like none of the bigger guys were even like, I don't know, no one knew who I was.
How did it start? Who was the first person who kind of noticed your shit?
Well, it was definitely from when I put the Snakebite VIP out.
Yeah.
And because nothing before that had caught the attention of anyone big. And
how did that spread? Was that like a quick thing, or did it take a while to kind of build?
Well, I didn't. No one had it before it was released because I didn't have anyone to send it to.
Right.
Aside from like my friends, but I put it out, and then the first bigger guys to like hit me up about it and play it were Discord. They're from the UK.
Oh, I love Discord.
Yeah,
they're amazing.
So sick. Yeah, they were the first guys to like. They DM me, and I had been fans of them for years, so I was like the first like surreal moment that I had. And then they came coincidentally like 2 weeks later to play here in LA at the Blasco, and like I got to go to the show and hang out with them and watch them drop it. They played like 3 of my songs that night, which is funny because I had up until then I'd never been to a show where any of my songs were played.
Really?
That was the first time. Yeah.
Oh man, that must have been awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. And then all of a sudden, just I don't know, man. It's funny because it came out in November, so over 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
R.I.P. I can't believe it's been that long. Wow. And then like, I remember Getter was playing it, which is cool because like I'd been a fan of him forever.
Yeah.
Borgor started playing it, and then like when Flux Pavilion, it was so funny because I remember just being like fanboying so hard when he was like, he hit me up and he was like, yes, my favorite song right now.
Yeah.
And I was like freaking out, and then I don't know, it's cool. Like 2 years later, I got to make a song with him.
Right,
like,
man. Yeah. I mean, that
stuff I would never have imagined happening.
That must have felt surreal. What was it like working with him on the tune you guys did together?
It was cool. It wasn't as fluid. Yeah. Because we worked on it from opposite sides of the world. Like he was in the UK the whole time.
Right.
And we also used different DAWs. So it was just stemming back and forth, which it doesn't matter who I'm working with. That's always just a tedious thing for me to do.
Oh, dude, it's not my favorite thing to do.
It was cool because like I sent him the original idea, and then he sent me back just ideas on how he wanted to go with it. And at first, like I'm not even gonna lie, I really wasn't too stoked about it. And then we talked and stuff, and I shared thoughts, and I was straight up, like, I was like, I'm not sure if I really, I wanted to keep it how I originally sent it, I guess.
Yeah.
But we went back and forth and kept sending it back and forth.
Was that intimidating to say that to him?
I was like, I didn't want to.
Yeah.
But then it goes back to I can't, like, it's so hard for me to put. Like,
right.
And
it's good that you did, man.
Well, I remember thinking to myself, like, dude, just shut up. What are you doing? Like, you're making a song with Flux Pavilion. You don't need to bring up your stubbornness.
Right.
But I still did. And it was good that I did because like he wasn't like mad or anything. He was totally understandable. And then we like talked about it and he gave me his thoughts and then we swapped it back and forth some more and then it ended up where it is. And I ended up really, really liking it because he kind of did the whole like theme of the like with the melody and stuff on the drop with like the arrangement.
Right.
He said so many buzzwords. So many production buzzwords right there.
Yeah,
Didn't you-
you scored a lot of points just there.
Yeah, and then I ended up like liking it, and then he sent me like a video of him playing it live, and every time I got to play it, it went off. So
Hell yeah, man.
ended up good.
That's awesome, man. And was that through Discord that you made that connection to him?
I think so. I'm not sure. I'm assuming that they probably were the ones to show him the song. I think they were, actually. I think they told me. So definitely a huge shout out to those guys. I haven't talked to them in forever, but
Did you know when you put out that Snakebite VIP, like, how did you, because I think the reaction from the DJ community, it was so fresh. Like there was nothing else that sounded like it. It was just like a breath of fresh air, kind of this out of the blue, what the fuck is this? Like, did you know that you were doing something really different? Or were you just kind of like making what you thought was cool and not really paying so much attention?
yeah, I was trying to, I always had in my mind to try and do something that sounded like different, but I remember when I finished it, I was like, okay, cool, I have another song done, and I wasn't in any way thinking that
That it was any different from the other songs you were doing.
Yeah, I just assumed it was going to be another track that I would put out, and in a month it'd be gone.
Right.
And then I showed like a couple friends, and the reaction, it was so funny because like if I was just like mixing in a room with some friends just hanging out, and then I would play the song, and it was just like everyone would just stop and like look over and be like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet, because I'd never had like that kind of reaction.
Yep.
So then once people started doing that, I was like, oh, okay, maybe this will be the song that one DJ plays out at one show, and then because that had really never happened.
Yep. Little did you know.
Yeah. So like and then like the little break between winter and festival season.
We call that spring.
Yeah. Spring. Skrillex played it, and I was like, that's holy shit, this is fucking insane. And then after Skrillex played it, it was just every single festival, it was getting rinsed.
Yeah.
And it was so cool because I had, this is going to sound so cocky. I had the tune.
Yeah, you did.
For
that's
that
not
year.
Cocky, that's true.
I mean, it was dope. I think just like it was cool, and it brought on the opportunities to talk to a lot of bigger artists and stuff. So
Yeah, I'm sure that opened all the doors of just being able to sort of communicate with who you want to communicate with. I'd imagine that's when interest in shows and all of that started
that's the
popping
thing.
up.
Like I did get some shows, but here's the one thing is that I feel like everyone knew the song, but no one really knew who made it.
Yep.
So I wasn't selling tickets or anything.
Oh, of course not. Of course not.
But it's still 100% like I'm glad that I put it out because I actually almost wasn't even going to release it.
Oh, interesting. Well, and yeah, I mean, then you started off, you were going through a few different record labels, like you did Play Me.
Yeah, Play Me was like 2014 to 2016.
Okay. And then was it straight to Twonk after that with Sammy?
Pretty much, because I wasn't like signed with Play Me, but I would do a lot of releases with them. And then when Twonk came around, it was like, I think, I'm trying to remember who put me in touch with Twonk. Oh, okay, now I remember. Yeah, it was 2017, and this guy Sam that I was talking to, I think he was the label manager, or was going to be the label manager for Twonk.
Yeah, for Twonk, I know Sam.
Yeah, Sam Kasuchi. This is before they launched it or anything, but I don't remember exactly what happened. He mentioned the first Twonkalation.
Right.
And then I sent him a song for that, and that came out on the compilation. And
I had a song on there too. I remember that.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, I forgot everyone that was on there.
It was a lot of people, man.
Yeah, and then after that, they said they were going to start a roster with the label and asked me to join it, which is really cool. And then I did the EP, and then we did the little tour, and then I think after that, I think Sammy was maybe just wanted.
Yeah, he was over it.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I will say for the short-lived time, I mean,
it was so fun,
dude. Fun, and like Sammy just has this vision that I think is his biggest strength. Where like every single artist he was trying to work with were all the most exciting artists, I thought, at least to me. Like, I just thought he had a great year for what he was doing. And you see what a lot of those people he, was trying to bring into the fold. Then they've gone on to do awesome stuff and kind of all over the map. Was that tour fun with him?
Yeah, it was so fun.
Yeah.
It was the first, first and only support tour. Yeah, it was really fun. I did, I think, 5 or 6 of the stops. And it was my first time touring with anybody. And it was cool because I was on tour with Brills, and Brills was another artist that I'd listened to for years.
Yeah.
He was one of the OG trap guys.
Yep. Genius, dude. I mean, he's still, I don't know.
Oh, his new stuff is awesome too.
His new stuff is so dope. Yeah. He's, even though people know who he is and his music does well, I always think of him as underrated.
Yeah.
Did you guys make a tune together, or am I making that up?
No, we started one, but it was going to be Eliminate Brill's tune.
Yeah.
And then
he
just time went by, and then he started his new project. And we hadn't really even talked in a while. And then once I saw he was launching a new project, I was like, okay,
yeah.
scrap that one. It's funny because I still play it live sometimes.
Oh, tight. It's good to have a couple secret weapons.
Yeah. It's fun to play stuff that I'm never going to release and that no one else has.
Yeah, you can kind of just tease it. And then, so now obviously you're with the Disciple family, which, you're talking about the Palladium show. I mean, that's a movement at this point.
Yeah, it's crazy.
How did that come about?
So my manager his name's Dan. He's the label manager for Disciple. But before I had anything to do with Disciple, he was doing Twonk stuff.
Oh, okay.
He was, I think, label managing Twonk.
Nice.
And then he approached me about management, and then I started working with him. And after Twonk kind of stopped, we were looking for new places to put tracks out. So we were shopping around at some labels and stuff, and then I made this one tune, and he showed it to the other guys, and they decided to do a single. So it was the track was called Walls, and it was my first single on Disciple, and it was before they had mentioned anything about signing me or anything.
Yeah.
So I did that one track, and it was much different from much different from stuff that they normally put out. At least I think, because they're
primarily a dubstep label, hard ass dubstep.
Yeah, but they branched out a lot since then.
Oh, for sure. I'm not pigeonholing them, but
no, you're right though. They really are primarily dubstep. So it was a little intimidating for me to put the track out with them, as cool as it was, because I was a huge fan of Disciple, but I just knew that it'd be a lot different for their main audience to hear. But it was pretty well received. And then kind of just started, after that, I think I was talking with Dan some more, and then he just brought up, they were talking about bringing me on, and if I would have any interest in that. And I was like, yeah, obviously, I was actually kind of blown away that they even really had interest in signing me, because I just never put myself on the same level as all those guys, because
it's a cool roster, man.
Yeah, Virtual Riot is just genius. Barely Alive,
Barely Alive's amazing.
Yeah, they're all just super good producers that I've I don't know.
Yeah,
it's so weird moving here, and my first week living in LA, I ended up at the Disciple house somehow, after Space Yacht. Didn't know any of those guys, and I straight up looked at them like they were celebrities. I was like, holy shit,
right?
Virtual Riot. Can't believe I'm hanging out with Virtual Riot and Dubloads and Barely Alive. And I was just it's just so funny now, 3 years later, they're just friends.
Yeah, well, and I mean, Disciple, at least from the outside, it does seem like it has that family vibe.
Yeah, no, that's the other thing. It's cool to be a part of it, because they'll just they'll just have little get-togethers, and they got the office in Hollywood now. We're taking that trip to Thailand next month.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Yeah, so I think that was before we started recording, but yeah, you guys are going out there for basically a retreat, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be a week of shenanigans, and then, but so yeah, it's cool just to have I don't know, a group of people. It feels definitely at home.
It's good to have a team, man.
Yeah,
It's good to have a family.
And
I think
they're all super welcoming too. Like it's not like a clique, where it's like,
Right.
oh, the new guy, you gotta like fuck this guy, or like everyone's just super
Yeah.
super chill, and I don't know, fun to be around.
Yeah, man. Well, and I think you've earned your stripes at this point too. Musically, like I'm sure they're just as stoked to see what you're doing as you are for them.
Yeah, it's been. I think like I'm definitely gaining more fans through them, which is cool. Because, but there's obviously a fair share of people that hear my stuff and they're not used to it, so they just shit on it. But I don't really. I try not to pay too much attention to that because there is a large amount of people that have heard me through Disciple and they like what I'm doing. So
Well, yeah, man. And I mean, that's just the curse of social media in general, right? It's like you can't read the comments, all of that sort of thing. That was actually the one last thing I wanted to ask you about before we wrap it up is, on social media, like I think you've done a great job of just presenting the project or branding or whatever you want to call it. Like I just like your presence on social media. And I don't know, man, the tone of it's like super silly and you're putting that communications degree to work, making those videos.
I just try not to be like super serious on the internet, which
is always a good policy.
But then, I also, I don't know, it works in a good way and a bad way. Like,
do you feel trapped in it a little?
Kind of like I have to be this, funny idiot on the internet, right. Which is fun to do, and I enjoy doing it, and I like that I can post some stupid picture with some dumb caption and like people will laugh at it. But if I want to be serious about something, it's like totally out of character,
right? Then they're like, oh, where's the meme?
Where's the meme? Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, look, man, I'm a human, I have feelings.
Well, and you don't want it to become more about the joke than the music, right?
Yeah. Like, no, I do a serious post occasionally.
No, of course, man. I don't think you're anywhere near that line. But, but it's something I enjoy, man. Like I do like your presence online because it is just like, honestly, in a way, kind of like your music too. It's just a breath of fresh air. It's just like, oh, this guy's just doing what he likes to do. That's how I see it, both with your music and with the videos or whatever you want to call it. It's just like, this is just your brain on display.
Yeah. So I don't know. I always wonder how people think I operate, that only know me, let's say on Instagram.
Oh, sure. Yeah. That you're just like this insane person.
Fucking idiot. And it's like, no, man, I don't know. I just act like that on the internet.
Of course, man. Well, I mean, where do you want to take Eliminate, in the short term? Like, do you have ideas for either musically or just in general with the project? Like things you want to accomplish, what you want to do with it, plans for, the next 12 months?
Right now, I'm focusing on finishing this EP, which I'm hoping is going to be 5 tracks. So it's a fairly big project, and in my opinion, it's there's 2 tracks that aren't done. So 3 of them are pretty much wrapped, and then 2 I haven't even sent them to Disciple yet. So I don't know what exactly. Well, yeah, I'll cross that bridge when I come to it, but. I'm hoping it'll be 5 songs, and all of them, I think, and I don't want to hype it up too much, but in my opinion, they're like my best work so far.
Yep.
So I'm really, really looking forward to finally, because my last EP was in May, and this one's not going to come out till it'll be a little while from now. I really am just excited to get it out and show this, I don't know, there's some diversity in it, but it also, I think, kind of remains to the sound that I've been producing.
Sure. I mean, I think those are the best kinds of releases where, older fans can connect to it, but you're still progressing and still evolving.
Yeah. So I'm just really, really excited to do that. And then after that, I mean, I don't know, who knows? I obviously want to, keep touring. because it's a really cool thing to get to do.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to continue doing that. And I don't know, because I'm still fairly small artist. Well, I'm definitely a small artist. So I'm not doing like a headlining tour or anything. I don't know. There's a lot of bigger artists that I would like just really love to go on like an actual tour with.
Right.
I'm doing some, I think like 5, maybe 6 dates with Downlink.
Oh, that'll be dope.
Which I'm really excited about that, because he's another just like
he's a
OG.
legend.
Yeah. As far as like the music goes, after the EP, I haven't even thought about it.
Yeah.
But that's my main focus right now, and I'm hoping that the EP will get. I know like releases are so short lived, but I'm hoping this will like last a while.
Yeah,
because
man.
each track kind of has its own. They're all different, I guess, but similar. That doesn't make sense.
You're just gonna have to wait to hear the EP.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not trying to talk it up too much. I'm just really excited.
I'm excited for it, man. Yeah, you got to play me something once we stop recording. But no, man, this has been really cool. I'm glad we linked up for this. As somebody else who makes a fair amount of car alarm music and super weird stuff. That's what I always call it.
Yeah.
But nah, man, I'm glad you're here doing what you're doing. I'm really stoked to see what comes up next. Is there anything we haven't covered that you want to get out there? Anything else?
I don't know. I guess don't try and record a podcast if you have a cat.
It's something we learned today. We both learned that today. My cat, man, he'll just come and like curl up next to me. I don't know.
Yeah. This is, I don't want to say a rare form, but
right.
He usually is just in my room sleeping on his chair.
Yeah.
But since, I guess because you're new, he doesn't know you, he's just got to show off.
I freaked him out a little, yeah.
No, he's just like trying to flex.
He might smell my cat, honestly.
Maybe that could be I don't know. I think he was just trying to show off, like scratching the boxes, being like, "Yeah, look what I can do. This is my apartment."
All right. Before we get out of here, I always end by asking a quick question. Super random. You don't have to think about it very hard. Just the first thing that pops into your head. Just a time in your life, and it could be recently, or it could be from when you were a kid, when in a moment music really deeply affected you. And that could be like gave you goosebumps, or changed the way you thought about something, or maybe was connected to a memory, like something significant. But it doesn't have to be like a significant memory. It's just kind of the first thing that pops into your head.
I would probably have to say when I don't even remember how old I was, but it was right after I got my first, the Discmans.
Oh, yeah. I know them well.
So I think I got the Discman at the same time that I bought Sticks and Stones by Newfound Glory.
Okay.
And I remember just putting it in. This is the first thought that came into my mind.
That's great. That's perfect.
I remember just putting it in and then putting the Walkman in my pocket or Discman, and then just having the big ass headphones, and then because that was one of the first albums I can remember too, aside from like Blink-182 and Linkin Park. But
yeah,
that when I think of that, I think it was like summertime too. So it reminds me of just,
were you like walking around outside, or?
I just remember listening to it a bunch. I don't have like a specific memory. I just remember listening to that album so much. And it's funny because I think it's probably been like 15 years. Let's see, I'm 26 now, so I really don't remember how old I was when that album came out, but yeah, I still listen to it. Daily.
Well, and those are foundational. Like, even if it's not the music we listen to anymore, or even if we're doing different things, like that has a huge effect. I mean, I still remember you mentioned Discman, which made me think about my old Discman, and like there were a couple CDs that like I literally listened to them so much that I like broke it's like I wore them out. They were like scratched up. Yeah. And at some point the like laser reader on my Discman broke because I was using it so much. Like, I don't know. I mean, those moments of discovery for me, man, it's like that's what we're all trying to get back to. It's like that pure enjoyment of discovering something new. Yeah. And there wasn't any more thought than that. You're just like, this is awesome. I'm going to listen to it 100 times.
Yeah, there's definitely other memories I have of like music being, a lot more impactful than that. But that's kind of just perfect. I just thought of that because I remember it was really exciting buying or getting, I'm sure my parents paid for it. I don't remember how old I was, but like getting the Discman and the CD.
Right.
That's one thing that is gone, is the excitement of purchasing like a disc.
I know, man.
And having the track list on the back and reading it on the way home as you listen to it in the car.
100%. Yeah, and like
miss that so
you have
much.
to like the annoying shrink wrap that was super hard to take
now
off.
you just go on Spotify. It's not as fun.
I agree with you, man. There was something really special about that. Like, I mean, I still have like vinyl in crates at home that I don't use anymore.
Yeah, that's one thing I never got to do because I think I was born too late.
You're right, exactly. I don't know, man. It's like not to be the old man on the porch, but there was something special about that at least we got to appreciate it, you know? Like I wouldn't say that kids now are missing out on it because they've got their own shit that they're going to be excited about, but I am glad I got to live through that era because I think it changed the way I think about music.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, hell yeah, man. This was awesome.
Sweet.
This was fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks, man. I'll talk to you later.
All right, sweet.
Peace. All right, that's the show. Shout out to Eliminate. Thanks for having me over, man. So fun to talk to you. I can't remember if I edited out your cat entirely, but shout out to your cat running around scratching literally everything while we were talking. Make sure to watch out for Eliminate. He's got new music coming out pretty soon, I think, on Disciple Records. He's on tour. The link is in the description of this episode where you can go follow him. Also, in that description, you can go check out the Back to Bangers playlist on Spotify for this show. And if you want, you can always hit me up. backtobackpod@gmail.com is the email address, or at Willie Joy or at backtobackpod on all social media. That's it for this week. I've been going ham since January 1st. I have recorded a lot of crazy conversations. I cannot wait for you guys to hear them. It's going to be a good year. I'm feeling good about it. I hope you're feeling good. I hope you're doing well. Take care of yourself. Take care of the people around you. Tell somebody you love them. Ideally, somebody you actually love, but whichever. And that's it. I will talk to you next week. Have a good one. For Back to Back, this is Willie Joy. Peace.